Okay, would like to call this regular council meeting to order, City of Harrington at 7 p.m. Start the evening by getting roll call from our councils. Position one is
Janice.
going to be calling in later. Position two,
Present.
three. Thank you, Stephen. Four.
Here.
And five.
Here.
Thank you for being here. Would any of our visitors, would like to be recognized? Else? Hi, Joe. Thank you for joining us. Diane. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you for joining us, Chris. Patient is. Okay. If we wouldn't mind, I'd like to stand and give a pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would the council like to have any additions added to tonight's agenda?
I don't know if this might be a little preemptive, but Gregor building lease.
Certainly talk about it.
Okay. And the status of liens on property or liens on property that are for sale, right? I know there's quite a few houses, property for sale, and I don't know if they are behind delinquent or not.
Okay.
So
We could definitely
it's a quick brush.
have a question. We're happily have Tricia here to tell us about the library state of affairs.
Okay, well, the library has our new hours Tuesday and Thursday, 1 to 5. And we just, now that the city is out, we have space in the building. And we have a kids section up in front now. So I encourage anyone who's interested. I know the council was just over there looking at our new addition. So we have some new furniture. We have just, again, like I said, a kids section right up front. And we've really seen a number of people that are coming in regularly, either to use the computers, their own computers to check out books. We have our digital collection, which is through Washington Anytime Library. So each month we see about 40 to 60 digital materials checked out. So that's either ebooks, audiobooks, and so that kind of varies. I think it's when farmers are in the field or not in the field. Personally, me, I check out more audiobooks in the fall months. And then actually for physical copies in the library, it's about 60 to 90 a month that are being checked out, books. And so, you know, that kind of depends on who's around, if there's more kids that are coming in to check things out. And then we also have quite a bit of DVDs, videos. So we have, I would say, between 15 and 25 DVDs that are being checked out each month. So we have a pretty good selection of that. And with that said, there's probably between 30 and 50 visitors a month. Now, that doesn't mean 50 individuals. It means 50 times we're adults. There may be, the 10 regulars that are coming all the time. So that it might not be an accurate number of how many individual people are using the library, but it does show that there's quite a few people that are actually coming in through the library within a month's period. So repeat users, and then obviously that includes some of our children's programs, which we just started again. We have a preschool program, which is not preschool reading, like a story time, and that's hasn't been quite as successful as we kind of were anticipating, just because the Harrington's preschool is every single day. So we are just kind of targeting either really young kiddos or people that are homeschooled or just maybe not enrolled in the preschool. So we may have to kind of judge whether or not that's kind of something we want to continue. But so far, our after school program, which is we kind of see anywhere between 10 and 14-year-olds that are coming down for that. And we see between 6 and 10 of those kids each Tuesday that are coming down. And we have Lego night, we have a movie night, a craft night. I say, 3:30 to 5. And so those, I think, has been really well attended. And so we're hoping to kind of continue some of that momentum. And our librarian, Justina Slider, if you haven't met her yet, she's really fantastic and really has an emphasis towards kids. And so we're really hoping to kind of build that back up at the Harrington Library, having kids kind of be more of a focus, which you'll see if you go into the library. The first thing you see is some of the kids' things up front. We obviously still want our adults to be there too, and we want to make sure that there is quiet space to work. So we're kind of judging to see the people that are coming in on the same days that the kids are coming in. Are they, dissuaded from coming? Do we need to kind of figure out there is a back room in the library? Do we need to kind of use some of that if people are truly bothered by the kids? But if they kind of know when they're there, we can kind of hopefully manage between those groups. We were very pleased this year with the city's support to be able to increase our librarian's salary. So we really felt like she's been doing a great job. So we increased her salary effective March 1st, so a couple weeks ago. So we were really happy and thrilled that she was the assistant librarian in Davenport and is coming over here now full time for us. And so we really wanted to make sure that she knew how valued she was to us and our community. So we're really excited for that, and also excited within that same frame to have, I think, a comprehensive library budget for our different cities. I asked around a couple of different towns, and we actually are kind of within some of the same realms of some of the other cities. Odessa, Davenport, which is huge, being smaller than both of those communities. So I'm really hoping that with the city's support and the town's support that we can really kind of continue to be a value added part of this community. So that's really what we're hoping for. And we are seeing increasing numbers as far as people in the building, as far as in the checkouts. We get new books each month. And so we're really kind of figuring out that system. We have an online checkout, or I shouldn't say online, a digital checkout system that's in the works. We're scanning all of the books. And as you know, we have a lot of books, so it takes a while to scan them all in. So hoping maybe by the end of this year, if not much sooner than that, to have all of that online and be part of the Wheatland Library Consortium. So that includes Odessa, Davenport, Reardon. So people can log in, see which library has which book. We can do interlibrary loans. If we have randomly book 4 of a series instead of, book 1, they can kind of go back and forth with that. So I think that's kind of my just quick update. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any.
Good job.
So the city moving out of the space.
I would say it has given us an opportunity to expand in the kids section for sure, because I think having that space for kids to kind of move around and have their own space separate from the adults that are, kind of being quiet, using their laptops, being in the back, I think that's been really helpful for us to kind of be able to have the extra just wiggle room within that. I think that will also help with some of the after school type programs where we do set up our plastic table and they do crafts and stuff. And so having that flexibility and our own building wouldn't have been possible if there was another business that's, trying to conduct business, right? And so that I don't think would have been possible with the city in there. We would have either had to do different hours or different times. So I think having our own space that, we weren't bothering the city's business by having like a kids program is huge for us.
I know there was a concern expressed when we made the move. There was a theory that if a lot of people were coming in for the benefit of the city's hours, and if the city wasn't there, there would be a drop off for the
Hmm.
library. I know you mentioned what you feel like your numbers are for checkouts and visits and everything.
Mhm.
Do you have any kind of a rough estimate on how what kind of a change does that represent from before the move out in rough terms?
Mhm. I would say just in general, we would have more people that are coming in just, and I would say not necessarily because the city has moved out and the hours, but it's because we did change our hours from 1 to 5 on both of those days. So we actually increased the number of hours that the library is actually open compared to 2 to 4 and 3 to 5. So we're actually open physically more hours. Technically, when the city was open, you couldn't still check out a book unless the librarian was there. So you could visually be reminded and see that there was a library there to check out the books, but you weren't supposed to check out a book, at 9 a.m. on Monday. The library wasn't open. So I think by having expanded library hours has been able to see more people come in and for longer time periods and be on their computer more so than the traffic of people. But I don't know that there's been a significant increase or decrease, which I think is helpful because it, like you said, if the city's not there, is there not going to be that visibility? But I do hope we have a new sidewalk sign that should be up here soon. Similar to all the other businesses on Main Street, we've really felt like, gosh, that's really eye-catching for the businesses to have that. We have a flag, but I know it's often windy here, but sometimes it's not windy, to be able to have something, more physically in the sidewalk to help draw more people in and have more of a online presence as well. So I would say I don't think it has decreased. I would say just in our hours being open longer, it has increased.
Oh, last question I had is, do you have any asks?
I know we had talked about this, but lighting is our biggest concern right now. It's very dim in there and they flicker. And so we've had several people, we do have books on the bottom shelf and, getting all the way down there kind of with some dim lighting is a little difficult to see. So I think lighting would be really great. To add to our new furniture that we've gotten. That was a huge help to be able to have the money in our funds from our budget from last year to be able to purchase that new furniture. So I think the lighting and I think just your continued support of both the budget and then also some of our programs that we're running. And then also just, I know a lot of you have been volunteering your time to help with things, moving cabinets out and attending board meetings and stuff. That's been really helpful. And if we could continue to have your support and just you guys touch the community more than we do, probably just as our board meetings. We don't have people to come to our board meetings. So if there are questions and comments from the community, we would be more than happy to have those. If people approach you as a city council, we would love to know that as well. If you are getting feedback from the community, to share that with us.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda would be, I know the letters, but. Right, thank you. Letters. Sequence.
I'm, as I said before, Diane Sanchez. I'm the chair, and Karen here is our secretary. We have 3 other members, Les LaPierre, Jerry Allen, and Jeff Talkington. And we are a small group, and we're hoping that we can recruit a couple of more members. Because we are a small group, we've tried to volunteer and do more community-minded things, such as the Town Square project. And we don't have a lot of people to volunteer for that, but have tried. And we've had other projects. I think 2 years ago, we gave a report and had all these great projects we wanted to do. Well, no, it isn't going to happen. So because we're small, we decided to kind of adhere to our bylaws. And the bylaws state that we are to keep a register of historic properties in town. And we advise and review changes that are made to these properties. So our big project for this year is to continue creating the historic preservation district. And I have a little map here with the district and the ordinance that created it. We have started with a complete valuation survey of the properties, the historic, the oldest buildings in the district, and the boundary map and the ordinance that created it. That much is done. And the next things we're going to have to do is to draft a nomination process for each building in the district, create informational brochures, pamphlets, and mailings for basically public outreach. And then we have at least two public meetings to explain and answer any questions that the property owners might have. And then the final thing we'll be doing will be mailing out the ballots and have a final vote from the property owners. And that brings me to, we would like to have our budget reinstated. We've never used it, I don't believe, in the past, at least while I've been in this. And it's just, I guess, goes back into the general fund, the monies that we don't use. But we're going to have mailings, we're going to have brochures, and all these little things that are going to start adding up. So we kind of need that to be reinstated. And then, like this is my file folder here. And we're going to need a little portion of one of your filing cabinets to keep things in, because you all should have control and access to the stuff that we're doing, especially the nominations of each property owner. Beyond that, we're going to do a meeting. We've been doing quarterly meetings, and we're going to do one once a month now, this year, so that we can get this accomplished. That covers it. And I'll be making sure that you get minutes to our meetings so you know what's going on with us.
Do you have a set?
The bar.
Okay.
We were doing it on Saturday mornings, and because some people worked, but there aren't a lot of places other than the post and office that would be open for a meeting area. And so we kind of thought, well, let's go to the bar. They've got good hours, and we can catch like 5 o'clock Friday night or something. People will be coming for dinner, and we can snag some extra folks and let them know what's going on. No, that's
Any questions?
Just a statement that, at least for my vote, if you guys would like the budget reinstated, I would request a budget proposal, as we do from the library. The city is accountable in its budgeting process to have a projection for where all the funds go. So it sounds like you already have an idea.
Yeah.
But if you can submit that to us, that
we can do that. Have copies for everybody. It's the map, the ordinance.
Um, so before we get into the fun and frivolity of council meeting, Chris, are you guys okay with us putting that in right now?
I'm good.
Short, I promise. For the month of February, 5 total calls, 1 alarm call, 1 burglary, which I think turned out to not be a burglary, 1 domestic violence related incident, 1 suspicious person, and 1 threats related call. And that was it for the month of February, which is good. And then we had our car out there during the basketball tournament to help slow traffic down. So hopefully that helped.
Chris, did it help?
Yeah, I did. I already told him that. Immensely.
So that's really all I have, unless you guys have any questions or concerns.
Either that or my hair dryer.
It works.
I know what bird it does.
Overall, what's the crime rate in the county? What seems to be the areas that are predominant, or is it slowed down?
Winter's usually slower for us. I'd say we were steady during the winter. Our traffic stop numbers were up pretty significantly during the winter, just trying to get people to slow down. Probably in the next month or two, we'll start seeing an uptick just with the traffic coming into Lake Roosevelt, but usually we're busier in the summer than we are in the winter.
But no one particular area that's property crimes, burglary, and
No, I know we got hit with a couple burglaries like down by the Adams County line. And we ended up catching those guys working with Adams County on that. But overall, I think, yeah, it's just kind of the pockets, the normal pockets, and
okay.
we try to drive through, and we're not just going to Sprague. So
All right, thank you.
At least it was you and not.
So nitty gritty, I would not ask you guys to stay if you did not want to go through the stuff. So if you want to leave, fully understand.
I know.
We're losing our
We
fan
really got to
club.
work on making this more interesting.
Can I,
You have floor.
Put a tap heel on those boots they're wearing.
I'll do a soft shoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have you guys had a chance to review the minutes from February 14th?
yes. I don't have any questions. Nothing stood out. Good job.
Do you have a motion out there, maybe?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? We have a motion to approve the minutes from February 14th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. 4-0-0.
Okay, our check, this is just to observe the check register. We've already approved the expenses. This is just to show that the checks were written and sent out.
Check it. For me, for my printer. 214 to 229, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. It had February payroll on it?
Do- Yeah, the bottom, David, that copy that you have needs to be the second page. Needs to be, yeah. that one.
Okay. Can we use this one?
Yeah. All right. Then we had February payroll.
Motion to approve as presented?
Motion first and seconded. Any comments to the payroll?
Just a quick question. This probably actually on this topic, but I think it's kind of related. So about that audit that you sent an email for, my understanding that it has to do with things that would have been related to payroll back when of employee eligibility.
2023.
Right. And without some of the specifics, since that email came out right before I didn't get a chance to. Is that how I want to put this? We're confident that we're roughly where we need to be on that as far as it was that.
Yeah, and it's kind of still, the whole question's kind of small. It literally just came into since turned around and responded. I think it just has to do with there's some numbers that need to match up. And this is specifically to do not with labor and industries or whatever. It's all to do with the the retirement service, just to that. So they're trying to match up these numbers and these numbers, and the
Because
deposits in the DRS.
It was in the beginning of 2023 when we cleaned some things up with them, right?
And that might be part of it, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I am good.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the payroll. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Claims. Which is on that spreadsheet.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, first and second, to approve claims. It's technically for March 14th. It's typo. It's the current claims.
You have-
Any discussion?
Yeah. Mini excavator.
We had a water leak. That was a rental. We had a water leak. Off the top of my head, it was on Glover. And we inevitably had to run a new water leak. And because of the close proximity of the building to where the water line went to, our backhoe didn't have the right, it was too big to get that job. So we had to rent one for a day.
Did they give us did they give us any break on the rental?
Yeah.
In the state, okay. They usually were
But
pretty
it came up rapidly, so we probably didn't have the time to, and that, actually, that's a good idea, David. I will probably start exploring set pricing for us in the future
Right.
when this comes up.
Yeah, they're handy as all get out. So I mean, you had to do it. You had to do it. Did we have to pick it up or did they deliver it?
Our public works employee went and got it,
Okay,
and he used his truck because it was heavy enough that he didn't think our city truck was going
Right.
to get that job done. So I would have rather done it a different way, but again, kind of like a time crunch. So,
Thank you.
and Springbrook Holding Company,
that's bias. That's the software.
right, how's that paid? Once a year or is that?
That's, yeah, I think that's, that's for the full year, isn't it?
Just seems like we just paid a pretty good chunk here a while back. It seemed like a year has gone by.
Yeah, no, a year has gone by. I looked at that and I thought I saw a module that we were paying for that we could get rid of, but we
Right,
can't.
okay.
And the thing, the unfortunate thing, or fortunate thing, depending on how you want to spin it, is that is a small community's recognizable program that integrates with the state's reporting systems.
Is that, did it go up? Is it staying the same?
I honestly didn't know
Okay.
what it was last year.
Okay. Cause I couldn't remember if they had a built-in automatic increase every year. I don't recall. Software.
Do you ask them what you're gonna look into what another seat would cost?
So come to find out, we've had the other seat the whole. We have 3.
Yeah.
It's cloud-based now. So,
Now, as in, last time I talked to them, they want to tie it to a physical machine. When did that change?
probably sometime between the time you talk to them and now, because
It's
I
a welcome change.
I called them today and I said, because there's, well, the DRS thing came up and then some other things, and I was like, okay, I can't keep my head in the sand. I need this on my machine. Called them and in 10 minutes they had it connected and said, yeah, you've got the 3 spots already, and it's cloud-based, so you can, wherever you want to be, your phone, whatever, you can log in.
Which is exactly the way it should be. It's just that's in the story I got from them before. They're like, which license are we moving? I'm like, not.
Yeah, it was
Whatever.
surprisingly simple. It's just like, oh, I don't know why I've been dragging my feet. So,
Yeah.
we have a motion to approve the March claims. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is an executive session.
10 minutes, 15.
You guys don't know anything about this, so we probably outline it in 10 minutes and then you guys can mull it over and.
So 20, you figure,
No,
Mr.
I
Mayor?
don't think we need that long.
Oh, okay.
Give us 15. Let's go with 15. You want to stick around? Okay.
You want to come in and referee?
Yeah.
No. See you, Joe. Nice seeing you.
Okay, we're in the, back in the general meeting. However, we're going to go back into executive session for another 10 minutes. We will emerge at 8:01. back in our general meeting. Do we feel like we need to spend a little more time discussing this? It's the next, this is a votable item on the next item on the agenda.
Are you satisfied?
I've said, I've got all my information out there on the table.
2 minutes. Just on and off.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session for another 5 minutes to clean up some details. We will be back at 8:08.
I make a motion.
are back under our regular council meeting at 8:08. Next item on the agenda is to discuss personal matters related to an employee. After our executive session, does anybody have anything?
Move to pay Casper the appropriate amount of time off due for 2023. So that would be what the prorated, whatever that calculates out to. We had an open question of exactly when the start date was and stuff. So I'd leave that to the clerks to actually calculate that.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to pay Casper fully prorated vacation fund for 2023. That carried over into 2024. Any other further discussion?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm good.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you for chewing through that. Okay, next on our agenda is the library light upgrades. You guys probably heard a little bit about this earlier tonight, and Steve and I'm gonna let you run with this.
Yep. I'll try and keep it quick. So as you saw in the library, a lot of the lights are out. There's a number of the ballasts that are buzzing, and there's a lot of the lights that are flickering or have seriously changed colors towards the green end of the spectrum. And it's, in general, very horrible lighting. The exception to that would be where a number of years ago, I gifted the city the ones that are in there now, the 6 that are what was over there. And those, I think, have worked great. People have had positive comments about them and everything. There was only one little hitch, is that the company that made those, that was very well respected, actually ended up going out of business. And so I've been searching for a long time to but they're not as prominent as you might think, especially when you get to the 8-foots. There's a lot more 4-foot options than there are for 8-foot LED tubes. And then once you get into that, a lot of them for like shop lights, like if you've seen inside the fire hall here, they have 8-foot LED tubes, but they're not frosted. So you look up and you see all the individual LEDs. And that's, I don't think, a very pleasant look for a place that we want to be kind of homey either. And then the last consideration of it is that the lights that I got for in there are 4,000K for a temperature. So just to put it into perspective, an incandescent light bulb is around 2,700K. So it's on the warmer spectrum. And a full-on new fluorescent bulb can be anywhere between 5,000K and 6,000K. That's where they're bluish, and they can really not feel that great to be under. 4,000K is a nice middle ground. It's, you know, a little bit warmer than sunlight temperature. So anyways, all that is to say, I was searching for a long time to find ones that met that same qualification, and surprisingly enough, I found ones that did, that are in stock at the Ritzville Pace.
How many do you think we need?
So there are 14 fixtures, each with 4 bulbs. And so in total, if you got those 56 bulbs, and they would cost $658 to get all of them. We may or may not need to do all of them, because you might notice how much brighter those LEDs were, and those, I only put 3 of those in. And if you were to put 4 bulbs of the new LEDs in there, that place would be lit up like a Christmas tree. I don't know, it might be too bright. Now, it's good to have a few in reserve, just because they're a rarer bulb. It would be nice to have some in reserve. So I don't know if you do the full thing, Or if you just say, well, we'll do 3 bulbs per fixture and that should be good enough because that's what it was when we put the other ones in there. So there's that. And the energy savings is the other thing I like to point out, because the electricity that are used per bulb is about a third of what's in there. Plus, the thing that people don't realize when you convert over tubes is that as a rule, the ballast uses half of the electricity of the fixture. So if you've got 4 fluorescent tubes and each of those, the LED uses a third of that, then you get rid of the ballast altogether, and the ballast is an equivalent of another 2 bulbs per fixture. So roughly, at the amount of time that those bulbs are on, it should pay for itself in about 2.5 years
Or less,
or less.
unless they raise the rates.
Yeah. And and Avista will raise the rates, and
Yeah.
then it will make it pay back even quicker. I mean, if you look at our $6,000 Avista bill, it's only going to get worse, folks.
Well, now you're talking just the lamp, the bulb itself. You're not talking about adding any fixtures. to
Yeah,
it?
and that's in years past. I know Dylan for a while looked into doing something different for fixtures because it's a drop ceiling and everything. If you get into changing the fixture,
Yeah, it's a monthly.
it's going to be even more expensive. And this is at least something we can do ourselves. I think I've got interest from a number of people in the community that would be willing to help us convert these over. And I think if we got a group of guys in there with ladders or scaffolding or whatever, we could do it in 3-4 hours. If we had, the pair of guys on each fixture, we could just do it and be done. And so, the 658, I don't forget whether that included tax or not. And then probably a few extra bucks for we need a little bit extra wire, because when you wire past the ballast, you lose the middle section.
I got a lot of extra. I did my whole shop here
Okay.
a few years ago.
So a little extra wire, a few wire nuts, and just some time from the community, and we'd start saving money on the electricity, and it would be a heck of a lot nicer.
Any tombstones?
I didn't have to replace tombstones on the previous one.
Okay.
They worked just fine. It was a fairly simple wiring.
My only suggestion to it sounds great because I really like them. The one is that we buy, since we find the right lamps or bulbs, and we buy a good supply of that.
Yeah.
'Cause they're supposed to last a long time, but
These are
It's-
rated 50. They're made by Fiat, so if
Yeah.
you walk down Costco's lines, Costco carries Fiat almost exclusively. So they're a big name brand, and they're rated, I think, for 50,000.
okay.
And they're ULC rated.
Okay.
And I would recommend, if we do this, I'll start by getting one package and just putting them in to make sure that we like them. And because the nice thing is we can just buy those bulbs and just put them into the pictures I've already converted and see if we like them before we go wholesale on it, purchase the whole thing, and then realize that there's something wrong with this bulb. We don't like the color or whatever.
To add to that, and you touched on it, but been, like I said, 2 years since I've done it. For a shop versus a library for reading, did you? What's the research say? What is the lumens? What do we want? The 5,000, 4,000. What's the easiest on the eyes?
Well, usually a warmer is better for a lot of
Kelvins.
stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying about the incandescence at 2,700 and fluorescence can go 5,000 to 6,000 and be very blue. Usually blue.
Yeah, we changed all of it, get rid of the wireless phones.
Yeah,
Like,
blue is usually associated with ice. Ice rain is generally and as far as if it gets too bright in an area, we can always just we could go down to 2 bulbs in a fixture if that's what feels appropriate.
even though they're bright, though, it's a different. I mean,
Yeah, color. Yes.
And if it gets painted in there, the kind of
Mhm.
white on the walls, it's great.
What day is they refer to as daily?
That's and the other thing that is nice with these is there's something called the CRI. So light, when I'm looking at the flag on the back of Joe's laptop, it can only it can only look red to me because there's red light in here that bounces off that and goes to my eye, right? So if the light source doesn't produce a lot of reds don't show through well. Fluorescents are notorious for not producing hardly any reds. Whereas these newer LEDs, they have the color rendering index is much better, so it produces a fuller color. So if you had a red scarlet, David would look different underneath the same brightness of the fluorescents and the LEDs, just because they produce a fullness of color to show things in their true light.
So, point of question on this. I know this is action. Since this is probably within our maintenance budget to begin with, is this even something that we need to formally vote on? Or just mutually agree on?
Good question.
Probably either way.
So I'll just ask, does anybody have any objection to upgrading the lights in the
No.
library?
No. Just a, go ahead.
Good to go.
Oh. But my only concern is that we get something and, you know, kind of taking a gamble going here. I'm not saying you are, Stephen, but, you know, buying a product, you know, they don't support that or, you know,
Yeah, we should
You're dang.
definitely
Kind
get.
of like building a wastewater treatment plant.
yeah,
that
exactly.
Shortly thereafter has to be completely rebuilt.
I mean, they're I don't think that we should just do it. We're done with it.
Well, we're going to have to get a lot more attentive about our Vista bill over the years
Well, we've already been,
because it's just going to eat us alive.
well, we're gonna get,
So what are these?
Those are,
Yeah. 4 footer.
I think those might
Okay.
actually be integrated cans. I don't think there's any tube with those because they're of how even.
Yeah.
Skin.
Hi, Janice. Hi. I bet you it did. So, yeah, we are closing in on probably the last 3 items on the agenda. You with us? Okay.
Yeah, bring a pizza over, chance.
Are you walking over or are you just staying on the phone? Okay. Okay. Well, I've got you live and you know,
live or Memorex, that was it.
okay, so the library light upgrades, we're good to go.
We agree to go for it.
Okay.
I mean, we could vote on it and say yay.
Okay. I like I said, I think because it's within the budget of maintenance in the city, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
agreeing to it. Okay.
No,
We okay to move on?
sure.
This is, and we can table this in the interest of time if you want to, but the topic is our fee schedule does
Garbage
not
rates.
address, oh, is it garbage rate 6? Oh, oops. Okay, garbage rates. You guys have already approved this. Just dawned on me, as a matter of housekeeping, we need to formally approve the resolution to increase the rates. Okay. So resolution to adopt the previously adopted garbage rates is firsted and seconded. Any further discussion?
Resolution 252, correct? Dash.
Yes, that,
20.
yes,
schedule for the city for what?
for the garbage rates. Yeah, it's just, we all approved it, Janice, but okay, you got it. Okay.
The only question I have is clarification.
Yeah.
Is it a 90 or 96? I mean, it gets thrown out there all the time. Is it?
96.
Okay.
So,
I guess we should amend that.
Although I think they were, doesn't Sunshine refer to it as a 90? Yeah.
okay,
So
let's
that's
just call it 90s. Not a
90
big-
plus.
I measure it
Okay.
sometime.
Concrete.
Okay, any additional discussion on that?
That's-
Okay. It's been first and seconded. All in favor of adopting the garbage rates resolution?
I,
Aye.
I-
Okay, Janice? Ooh, love it. Okay, moving on. This is where I jumped to accidentally. Okay, building code ordinances variance fee. It came to my attention that, and there's nothing on the table right now, so it's a great time to talk about it. When somebody gets a variance, asks for a variance for a building code or what have you, there's a number of bits and pieces for, you would know, there's like notices, there's letters, there's a number of things that has to happen to even bring it here to the council. Well, we don't have a fee schedule to, the city's been taking care of those costs. And we can, like I said, we can kick this down for another time while you guys have to think about it, but we need to add this to our fee schedule. It says if you're asking for a variance, these are the hard costs that the city is going to pay to do this, between the newspaper, advert, and the mailings. Now that we have a fee schedule, just
The amount it cost for advertising and all that.
we're looking. So it's about $40 for the newspaper advertising, plus mailing, and how many did we probably mail out historically?
it was to affected property owners only?
Yeah, within so many
Yeah, for the
feet.
4 blocks or 400 feet or something.
So it's probably another
Probably,
10 or 15 letters that went up. Yeah.
I believe we talked about it. It was in something, but it never had a figure.
Yeah. But on the fee schedule change that we just approved, for, connections, water and wastewater connections,
Mhm.
we have in there that the person will bear all material costs. And so why do we need to put a specific dollar figure on this? Can't we just say that all associated costs will be bore by the applicant?
Including labor.
The applicant is responsible for.
Because all these rates will go up. If you're on one end of town, if you're on the edge of town, there will be less people that have to mail. Then, I mean, it
Good point.
will always change.
Okay, yeah, good.
Great. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm bringing it up before you because it's an expense the city bears at the
Oh, yeah,
benefit of
of
someone
course,
else.
yeah. No. Conversation.
Okay.
Did we need to,
Well, it's an action item, so if you guys want, I will entertain a motion to add this to the fee schedule.
I make a motion, we add this to. The motion is to add this to the fee schedule. No, you're fine.
Okay, so basically, a motion to mirror the fee. of
Water and sewer hookups.
the water and
All
sewer
associated.
hookups, all associated costs.
And in fairness, we've also been including clerk time.
Yes.
Because
very
we've
much
been
so.
doing that for FOIA requests. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hours and material.
Okay, so that's been first and seconded. Do we have any further discussion?
I'm good.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And
5-0.
none opposed. None opposed. Okay, thank you. Okay, last thing on the agenda before we get to additions. I kind of presented to you guys last minute another resolution. It has to do with the surplus items. What I'm asking is, in the interest of time, for now and into the future, would you guys consider the resolution that I wrote up, which quite honestly mirrors another municipality, so it's nothing that I magically created in my head. basically gives the mayor latitude for some of the stuff that's laying around under a certain value and absolutely no real estate to just get rid of to the either I don't have to ask permission for the de minimis, the junk that's just broken and needs to be thrown away. But it's
Shoveled without a handle.
yeah, that gets thrown away. Exactly. It's the I think I showed you guys or sent you guys all a picture of the clay pipe that we'll never use again. But
Right.
there's probably people that would love to use that as yard art or whatever, and I could set a price on it, and if it's on a fee, then it can get sold. We have vehicles that it's skeptical whether they're useful or not, or that we could put up for auction. We've got equipment that we can put up for auction, and if you guys don't want to, that's fine. Try to bring you something every time to the council to review and say, yes, let's get rid of it, set a price or whatever. Or do you want to just give
I'd say for
the
the,
city hall the latitude to just, and if you'll notice what I did is I did put an end date on it. so that this expires at the end of next year. Because I would hope that this is all done and gone and dissolved before then.
my only reservation would be the fact that there might be something that's there, might look like junk or whatever. And then it might be something that they don't, or you won't know what it's used for.
Agreed.
Type thing. Or, yeah, it's been laying there for 15 years, but it's, got a lot of examples of it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm asking for a little latitude on, on stuff like that. But for example, there are two 55-gallon drums down there that have hand pumps on them that were obviously used to pump out oil for our own use. Now, we're never going to buy oil like that again. We can't. But somebody out there has those hand pumps. They look pretty nice. They look like there's probably a lot of value in them. So I would definitely not just say, okay, it's yours for $10. I mean, you do the research.
Are the pumps or the hand pumps?
Yeah, it's like a hand pump on the top of it. That
Hand pump or crank?
I think it's the hand pump. Yeah.
Red, yellow?
There was blue. See, that's my point. Is there's the farmer out there who's looking for something that gets 55-gallon drums of something that wants to pump it out. So
I mean, I'm not talking down to anyone, but I mean, it's just something like that, a tester, or
So-
something that looks like junk, but it's not.
I would guess that we're probably all agreed that the form of this is appropriate to not have the whole council have to deal with it. If, to your point, David, if you and or Gavin, I mean, it's the farmers there would prefer to have an oversight into it, I think I would feel comfortable amending this, that if you guys want to specifically have an interjection into this document, that's fine, because if the alternative is putting everything before the council, I don't know that we want
Will
to
get done.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say a value, how could you put a value on something if, if it's an auction, people go crazy. I guess discretion and trust in there, I mean,
the stuff that I'm thinking of is nothing that's going to probably ever see a 4-digit number. Quite honestly, it's the light bulb. The light bulb that looks like it should have taken seven stick.
you can get to work faster.
1972 Beamer would look really good.
Right, I got it.
I mean, it's just one step above the green gumball that it sits on top of the Torino down in the deep south. So it's stuff like that. It's not broken. You can't just throw it away because it has some value. But
And so you're talking about not just giving it to somebody, but just selling it to somebody type thing?
So if it's not something like clay pipes that you can do the
Yeah.
research and say, okay, these are worth $10 a piece, you know, and anybody like our gravel, that somebody can just come down and pay a fee to get.
But to that point, I don't think you can legally change the fee schedule by yourself. You could surplus under this, and you could sell it, but the council legally can't buy it if it's surplus.
Oh,
If it's
well,
on the
yeah.
fee schedule, then we can all buy gravel, but but none of us can legally buy a surplus.
And I think this
Right.
document, if I remember right, also says that whatever goes this way is off limits to any of us. So like I said, we can certainly table it and we can have a workshop, or you guys can go down and go through the shop area. Seeing what kind of stuff is.
We're going to table it till next meeting.
A
Sure.
great hay rake.
Well, I'm totally fine with that. I am really interested in continuing some of the motion that we've got. I don't know if you guys have been passed. Well, I'll talk about that later. I'm okay with tabling it. We can, in the meantime, maybe for a month, we can table it. And sometime we'll arrange to get everybody that wants to through the shop with Ken and let him point it out, stuff. I mean, there's a pallet down there of printers and probably 286 computers that,
You can throw that.
yeah, that's, I consider de minimis. It's a bigger problem getting rid of it than it is. So
The museum.
the old, I donated my old washer dryer to the shop because the wash machine they had there was dead. They tried to turn on the air compressor, and I told them to stop because sparks come flying out of the motor. So, I mean, there's stuff.
Is electric motor, obviously.
So, okay, we'll table it.
Yeah, I just don't want to get the mayor in hot water.
I don't want to get any of this in hot water.
Yeah, so I mean,
I'm just looking for a way to make things a little more simple so that we can get things done. So,
you want to set up a time for us to meet, or don't worry about that right now?
let's not worry about that right now,
Okay.
but we can email each other with, I mean, the key thing is just without a formal workshop, you know, let's just not triple up on any meetings.
Well, from the inception, it sounds good.
So, okay. Janice, I'm going to ask you this because you weren't here at the time we asked. Do you have anything in addition that you want to talk about? Okay. Okay, so we're at the point on the agenda. We're doing additions to the agenda. David, you had a question on the McGregor building.
Yes, where do we stand with that? I think the old lease or the lease that they have to submit so many days before May.
It's the end of May. I have talked with Trevor. He is interested in staying, and he is interested. He's still engaged in the community, and he would like as long a lease as he can get. The longer, the better standing he has with the state patrol and the prosecutors to salvage and store those.
So, and I know at our last meetings and stuff, we kind of kicked it around, but I don't think we come to an agreement, so.
I think part of it is tying, and I've approached the topic, but Justin has been extremely busy these last 3 weeks. He's hardly in town, so I think that ties in with this space here, since
Right.
we need it's not a direct tie. Absolutely.
Normal lease is 2 years, and I'm not comfortable with. What if something happens? There, finances.
Right.
Yes.
The 2-year lease is really gracious, actually.
Okay.
What was our original? Was it a
2
year? I thought so. With the option to renew.
with an option to renew for
Yes.
another 2 years.
Yes.
Yes.
That way, if something does come up, if something happens, if everything's streamlined, everything's good, it's renewed, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you set yourself up for a 5 or a 10, then we're stuck.
True. Yeah.
Okay.
I,
Good points.
in speaking to him, I think if he had, I mean, he'd prefer a 5, but I think if he had a 2, that keeps the people that he has to answer to and that world keeps them satisfied.
Would that would suffice?
I believe so, yes. But I'll check with him.
But we also have, keep in mind, we have an obligation to fix any.
Obligation, David.
Go ahead.
So if he
Yes,
knows he does not want to do that,
right, exactly. So. Okay.
I would request an executive session next meeting to discuss the rates,
Okay.
which is a permissible executive session topic. It actually, we can discuss for this space and for that, because in negotiations of leasing space. it's allowed.
Okay. Next session, which we're gonna talk about here in a minute. Okay. And then you also had liens on property for sale.
Right, it is. I noticed that there's quite a few, well, there's a few houses that have for sale.
And some
out
of them
there.
have
Right.
some accumulated costs.
That part I don't know, is if any of these have that, and if they do.
One of them does, and it has. So again, I will go back to when I talked to, what is it, the assessors or the auditors? I can't remember who takes care of the titles.
The
Assessor?
title, the
Audit,
Mm.
assessor's office.
assessor, I believe.
Yeah, so called them. They indicated that they don't look at to see if there's a lien on the property before they move the title.
The ju-
There's some to it.
One thing that might help you out with Janice's experience. Janice, did you file liens before? And that was with whom? I mean, the assessor or to the title company, I guess is my question.
title company. It was all through the Lincoln County Courthouse.
Did any of them ever get satisfied?
While I was working, yes.
Really? Okay.
For some because of like Catholic Charities and some different organizations for them to get one cleared. I went above and beyond, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
But they owed almost $2,000 and they were moving back in town and yeah, so just get a list from Lincoln County and have fun.
Okay.
Well, from what I gather, we're getting pushback from the auditor or the office over there.
The assessor's office, that they didn't have the staffing to check every single one before they transfer title. So, no, it is not. So, I will tell you this, because this is a
I'm not gonna
topic.
say names,
Oh,
it's not the appropriate
sure.
No.
council meeting.
So I am on the commissioner's agenda next Monday.
Okay.
And this is one of the I've got 3 topics. This is one of them.
Okay.
And I'm going to get clarified whether or not it makes no sense to put a lien on a property if it's not going to be
Enforced or active.
Absolutely, that's ridiculous. I
Well,
mean,
and that's what I'm telling. So, yeah. So Janice, what you didn't know is about 1.5 years ago, I called the auditor or the assessor's office and asked that question, who checks it? And they said, don't add more work to us. We don't have enough staff to do it.
I thought that was
I know.
status quo on all property transfers.
So I'm going to find a way to,
so I'm refrain,
so
but
I'm going to find a way to politically correctly bring up that question. So that's where I'm at with it.
Okay.
from here on Monday, I'll join you.
Okay, it's 9 a.m. I'm like almost first thing on the agenda. So,
Yep. No, I,
okay.
Okay.
Stephen, you had a Lions call.
Yeah, this is quick. There's a question to Lions Club of whether they should leave the tables and chairs up because there's been back and forth over the years that most of the time they always used to break it down, and then there was a number of instances where people said, "Oh, leave them up because this organization's coming in." They just want to know what the like. Should they ask every time? Is there just a standing leave it up? Is there a standing take it down?
When you say leave it up, you fold it out.
Yeah, because I think the question is against whoever's cleaning in there, is that it's easier to clean the floor, sweep the floors if everything's broken down. But then sometimes other organizations want it left up, and so they're kind of left in the middle, not knowing exactly. There's not clear communication or directive to them. So
Do they, I know in years past, yesteryears, they lined the chairs, the wall with a chair.
Yeah.
Do they still do
and
that?
that was another thing that at some point I don't know who, that someone requested they stop doing that too.
I mean, I would be bold.
Object. Each individual thing happening within the Memorial Hall, they break it down, they put stuff away. So yeah, so when people come in to clean, it is a clean plate. The next people coming in, they need to put things back together. I mean, no matter who it is.
How is it now?
Lately they've been taking everything down, or
Okay.
mostly. I don't know if every chair is pulled from the edge, but it's mostly all taken down.
When I was using the hall for the kids, I had to pull it out, break it down, and put it away, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess unless there's objections to that, I will tell them the direction is break it down.
I'm in agreement.
I agree. I don't
Yeah.
see any reason why it can't be broken down and put away every time, even if.
Yeah, I agree.
And, unless we know categorically there's gonna be no meeting between this one and this one, and they need it, but that's gonna take forward coordination and it does, you're right, it does make it difficult to clean the floor and everything with everything standing on it, so.
How often are they clean? Now, the people that rent it, used to be, I know you had to, the people that rented the hall were responsible for cleaning up a little, I mean.
They're supposed to. We do not currently have a janitorial or a cleaner. So after yesterday's barbecue,
Yeah.
I'll be going in there tomorrow night to clean. I mean, because I can't believe that they had a barbecue in there without having something sticky put in the deck.
I don't know that.
So, but traditionally, just on it's been once a week. Whoever's, well, it was Casper. Once a week,
Well-
Casper was in there cleaning up everything. Just
When we get staff, that's the schedule.
that's probably the schedule,
Yeah.
unless there's something else coming. There's a wedding going in down there on Friday night. We'll probably go down there Thursday and make sure it's extra clean and stuff like that.
Lions Club, did they ever clean up after themselves? Recently, I know probably years ago they did.
I don't know that I've ever seen it.
Okay.
And depending on who's cooking for them, would probably depend on how clean the kitchen
Yeah.
gets. So, I've cooked in there a couple of times. It was cleaner when we left than
Then you
got it, but
right.
I can't say that that's everybody. So, yeah, it worked out. Okay, we'll just
Okay.
leave things as is. Took my agenda off my screen. It's
Mayor's
mayor's
comments.
comments. Okay. I've got a couple of items. We just want to. It's
3 days of water meters.
It's water. It's everything you can imagine to do with water. Boots. Well, since we're having our water system get improved and everything, reach out to Steve and see what direction he gives us with regard to that specific. On that topic, I will say, and I'm not prepared to really give her much detail, but when Ken was going through and finding pieces and reorganizing, you guys won't recognize it in there. He found some meters that actually have a transponder on them.
Really?
Yes, I think 2 or 3 of them. Yeah. And he's being told that, yeah, if somebody with a computer, what have you, can get a reading on these things and get numbers on them. And so there's something that the city has right now that has a transponder that does something. Maybe it's you have to have a wand. It may be old technology, but you have to have a wand to get close to it and touch it or something like that. Connected to something.
I think fine. Even is the software. Well, it was for me. You know, it's kind of like our Springbrook, you know, pay a fee for it instead of, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Just
thank
gives you flexibility. There, we could use at least for, you know, we talked about putting meters in as gateways to certain sections of the town to be able to do differential analysis. Maybe those would be a good fit there so that we're not mixing and matching through the residences, but for our own private use, we could maybe use something like that.
Monitor the usage sections like we were talking
Well,
about.
and even as we, yeah, and even at those, what we can work, yeah, we have to put meters on all our city stuff. That's actually state standard. Okay, thank you.
I've also personally got a water meter on my back lot that blowing water up. I turn it off. When you turn it on,
So froze, can do the case.
I guess, yeah, it's, I mean, since you can turn it off, yeah, I think it's right underneath the actual meter. I
It's
couldn't
not
really
the-
see.
It's not the first one that didn't get broken this.
I mean, I had it turned off.
But it still had water. Yeah, we'll have to add that to our list of things to get repaired now. I'll have Ken get in touch with you and then you can show him. Any other additions? Okay, cool. Quick question for those new on the council, and I don't know, you may have already addressed this with the clerk. I didn't ask her before I put it on here. Have you guys gone through the whole open public meeting, all the required trainings? Okay, let's not lose track of those so we can, because when you're done, there's a certificate to email or whatever, and we'll get it printed off and put in your council file and just to check off the box.
Not either.
Okay.
I will get that.
Okay. Restrooms up at the park. Well, we're almost there. We have the parts, we have the pieces, we have the toilet, we have what we need, except for the gasket. Gasket between the toilet and the wall.
The most expensive.
It's not, well, it's elusive right now.
Right.
You would think that if you looked up a toilet and a part number, that it would tell you, well, the part number and pieces that attach to it, and that's not there. It is
Really?
simply not there. It's not online. It's anyway. We're gonna sort that out, but because this weekend is getting nice, and I think okay, the Benz is open, fully operational, and signs on the doors basically saying it's closed. So the Benz become
Jared.
So, yes,
Spring hinges or hydraulic hinges so the doors close, so that stuff at freezing during the winter doesn't happen.
so what happened, Janice, is they are spring loaded. It just, at the time it was -8, it was also about a 20 knot gale running across the city. And it was just sucking them open and
Be adjusted.
yeah, they can. And I, even though I think this thing still freezes because at -6, those heaters are not putting up enough therms to offset the concrete walls. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I think our fix is when this is on me, I wasn't really paying attention to what the weather was doing everywhere.
We would shut them down and winterize them.
Well, I think for those period of time, when it's going to get below 20 degrees for 3 weeks or so, we'll just turn off the water, shut them down, drain them, and
Yep.
just.
Yeah.
I thought about putting, stainless steel toilet seats on there so no one would want to use them anyway. But anyway, that's a different conversation. So that's the status of those. We will have the women's operational just as soon as I can find a gasket. We might forego it and just use a tube of silicone caulk. Just
Make your own.
make your own. Exactly. Yep.
Form a gasket.
I have down the local tel lease to talk about that. I made some headway with getting a modification written. They want to modify, local tel wants to modify our existing agreement now that there's fiber in town and do some other things. It's not done yet. I was hoping to get it, but everyone's rolling
Right.
out. So Bob Iverson is just not available to address it. So that's on the back burner. Wastewater systems, I've had some great conversations with Andy Tom, got some things clarified, got some things cleaned up.
You're comfortable.
I'm comfortable, and quite honestly, I should apologize to you guys. I apologize to him as well. I was under the impression that we just weren't getting any information at all, and now that I have the mayor's emails, there was quite a bit of information in there where there was a lot of communication coming in that I was not aware of. So we're good there. The water system is all, high speed.
Happy to hear you say that. It's notch.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a communication difference. So
During the transition.
So anyway, yeah, the water system is getting finished up. He's hoping to have it done and out for approval by the end of the month. And back on the wastewater plan, we should have that plan finalized and approved by the end of this month. It's at Ecology right now.
Okay. Sounds good.
So that's basically it. We're just keeping things rolling along. I won't go into everything about Avista, but they are asking,
Are you hitting the
our Avista franchise, which is a fancy word for a lease for them to use our right of ways, the 10-year one that is currently in place expires.
Okay.
If it doesn't get renewed, it goes to a year by year. Some cancellation clauses. So there's some technical stuff that has to be done, but they're asking us to do a new one, which is fine. They're our electrical company, but they're asking for a 25-year one. 25-year one mirrors the gas line one that is already in existence that I think is going to be in place until 2044, long after a lot of us are at this place. Moving on. They simply took, they gave me an ordinance that asked me to present to you. Why was it was nothing more than the 2014 one that had already been in place that was watered down. And when I gave it to the attorney, to David Bingham, he said, you know, this probably wasn't a good one in 2014, and in 2024, it's
Even
basically worse. And they watered it down. So his suggestion was to use Spokane Valley's franchise agreement that they approved for 25 years in 2016. And I presented that to Avista, and I was told, gee, we'd really like you to use the one that we presented to you to use for 2024. And I said, this is a watered down one from 10 years ago. Oh, and there were other arguments. The Spokane Valley is bigger, so it's really not relevant to.
Well, what if we go year to year? Are they gonna withhold service, or what are they gonna?
No,
reprise
it's,
us? I mean,
they're, you know, it's kind of one of those, do you really want to have this argument with them? What I want to do, and I may have talked to someone about this, 25 years.
it is.
And if you, one of the things that is in the Spokane Valley document is they talk about what happens if the power has to go from a pole to underground replacement. This one that they're asking us to sign doesn't address that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can I interject?
absolutely.
Any franchise agreement, like, it's normal. The normal term is 25 years.
Yeah, I don't know why they did the last one for 10 years, but
You don't know.
oh yeah, I know. Yeah, 20, and the one, the Spokane Valley one is a 25-year. So yeah, that doesn't bug me, but 25 years is a long time to think the what ifs. Like,
Well, especially in an ever-changing technology world we live in.
In writing within like 30 days type thing. So
yeah. I'm just worried about things like, you know, whether we like them or not, in the next 25 years, electric vehicles are probably going to be, if not, they're definitely going to be around a lot more, if not predominant. So,
seeing that in our Lincoln County, but I get it.
yeah. The other thing that crosses my mind is the fire in Malden was attributed to a utility line. I think Medical Lake, the Gray Fire is going to come down to a utility line. All it takes is legislator in Olympia saying these rural areas are a problem with these power lines, so we want them all underground. So when that gets dictated and ordered, who's paying for that? I just want it written out. I mean, I don't think we can assume that.
Yeah, we can't assume that that's going to happen here. I mean,
Well, if they pay,
can't
we're
assume that
gonna
this is-
pay.
see that wasn't in any of their franchise agreements either.
No,
Apparently,
no.
but
Right.
paying for that.
Right. And I'm not talking about after the fact. I'm talking before the fact, that somebody says preemptively before Harrington has a fire in it from a utility line, they want all our utility lines buried so they're not susceptible to wind, which is the
I
key.
get that. I get that.
So that's, I'm just giving examples of,
Okay.
well, a lot of them are, but Spokane is rapidly burying everything. So just,
But this addresses the gas too.
no, this is just
Just
electrical. There is a
just-
gas utility in place, or gas franchise in place till 2044. So this is just electrical lines. So anyway, that's where we're at. So we're still having conversations. So I'm just trying to do the best thing. City, 25 years, I will not be the mayor. Not happening. So that's where I'm at with it. We may find ourselves going over the April due time, but that's okay. It's extension provisions.
the attorney's recommendation was to regularly use
Exactly. Spokane.
a Vista push back.
Yes. Okay, that's all I have. You know, we don't have a Levi. Yeah. Chris, you want to take over that
I
role?
move that we're done.
I second it.
Okay.
It's the easiest way to say it.
First and second that we're to be done with the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned
Concludes tonight's. performance.
9:03. Thank you.